Hello friends, we are going to talk about five recent amendments to the Constitution from 2015 to 20. Okay, this video is split into two parts. In the first part of this video, we will be talking about two constitutional amendment acts which are very significant. The first one is 100th Constitutional Amendment Act, which is related to land boundary agreement between India and Bangladesh. The second will be related with 101st Constitutional Amendment Act, which is related to GST. In the second part, we will be discussing with three constitutional amendment acts: 102nd, 103rd, and 104th Constitutional Amendment Acts to the Constitution. Okay, so let's begin with the 100th Constitutional Amendment Act, which tends to ratify the land boundary agreement between India and Bangladesh. Okay, so let's begin. So the 100th Constitutional Amendment Act is basically dealing with the exchange of certain enclaves between Bangladesh and India. Okay, what does what does this do is that it is a ratification of the land boundary agreement. Okay, which was signed between India and Bangladesh in 1974. Okay, the then Prime Minister of India, Srimati Indira Gandhi, and the Sheikh Mujibur Rahman of Bangladesh. He was the premier of Bangladesh at that time, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Both of them signed a land boundary agreement in which they agreed to share, exchange certain enclaves between the two countries, and also with regard to the conferment of citizenship rights to the residents who were living in these enclaves. Okay, so it was a ratification of this agreement which was done in 100th Constitutional Amendment Act, and it tends to amend the first schedule of the Constitution. As we know, this is related to the territory of India, the first schedule of Indian Constitution, and it was amended through a special majority. A special majority, what does it mean? It means that more than half members in the parliament, the effective strength in the parliament, that is both houses, plus two-thirds of the members who are present and voting. This type of majority requires this more than two-thirds present and voting, and plus the support of more than half of the effective strength of the house. Okay, so it was an exchange of 162 enclaves, uh, out of which 111 were the enclaves which were of India, in Bangladesh. Okay, these were the enclaves which India gave to Bangladesh, and 51 enclaves which Bangladesh gave to India. Okay, so this was an exchange of 162 enclaves. And these enclaves were in Assam, West Bengal, Tripura, Meghalaya. This is a very historical agreement that India signed with Bangladesh, um, because you see the complexity of boundary between India and Bangladesh. You will understand that there is a uh, very rough land boundary between India and Bangladesh, and you can understand this through some facts. Let's explore some facts with regard to India-Bangladesh land boundary. So India shares its largest land boundary with Bangladesh. Okay, among all its neighbors, and this is more than 4,100 kilometers, which is fifth largest in the world. But if you will see the world map, you will find that Bangladesh is such a small country. How can it be the largest land boundary uh, largest land boundary sharing country with India? This is because of this jigging and jagging that is so much between India and Bangladesh. We will see in the map, which is after this. India says, these are the states: West Bengal, Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya, and Mizoram, which shares land boundary with Bangladesh. But the question here is that if the agreement was signed in 1974, Why it took 40 years to implement? As we know, this was finally, implemented in 2015, before which we had a, ratification pact signed between Sheikh Hasina and PM Modi. So after that, this 100th Constitutional Amendment Act was brought in, and we gave ratification to the Land Boundary Agreement. See, after 1974, when this Land Boundary Act was signed, this act involved ratification by the Parliament. As we have seen, it required special majority of the both the houses of the Parliament. But when we when we come to Parliament, it becomes a political issue. Political issue, why? Because we will see that India was giving up more than what it was gaining. It was just very much higher that India was losing with respect to what it was gaining from Bangladesh. So that is why it became a political issue. And also because of many other things like loss of land that was due to that was there with the residents of Assam and all those countries where these enclaves were present. So it directly, because of absence of such exchange agreement, and the people living in these enclaves were deprived of basic necessities. ये देखिए, बेसिक नेसेसिटी से इसलिए डिप्राइव्ड हो रहे थे क्योंकि this was a no man's land. These were stateless people. These were stateless people, and no representation, you know there nobody was there to listen to the grievances of these people. That is why they were basically deprived from all these basic necessities like education, health, infrastructure. And this was only because of the separation that they had from their homeland because of a piece of land. Now we will see in the map how the complex is India Bangladesh border. So this is the map of India and Bangladesh, of course. Now let's see how zigzag this whole Bangladesh is. Look at this. We have West Bengal up to here, Kuch Bihar. Then we have Assam. Then Meghalaya, and then another part of Assam is there. Then Tripura and Mizoram are there. So these are the 5 states which share boundary with Bangladesh. And as you can see, so much jigging and jagging. और एक बात और ये है कि ये सिर्फ जिगिंग एंड जैगिंग नहीं है, एक और समस्या ये है कि जो फिजिकल फीचर है बाउंड्री के बीच में, दे आर predominated by rivers and like hills. So it makes the boundary very rough, and very difficult terrain is there. That is why we face lots of trouble while having surveillance over the boundary between India and Bangladesh. So this is a very difficult situation. This is the Kuch Bihar in the West Bengal, और इसी के बगल में आपका जो थर्ड ऑर्डर इनक्लेव दुनिया का एकमात्र था, which we will see in the latter part of this video. Okay, now let's move. Let's try to understand what this agreement tried to achieve. So before that, let's discuss the third order, the only third order enclave which we had between India and Bangladesh. This was Dahala Khagrawal enclave, which is called the counter enclave or third order enclave. This was a patch of India surrounded by Bangladesh territory inside an Indian enclave within Bangladesh. Let's understand this. This is Dahala Khagrawal. This is surrounded by Bangladesh from all sides. This area is Bangladesh, and this area is again surrounded by India from all sides. And this area which surrounds this part of Bangladesh is in the Bangladesh mainland. So this is the complexity we have. अगर आप फर्स्ट ऑर्डर देखेंगे तो this is the best example of first order. Lesotho is a country which is within South Africa, surrounded by South Africa from all sides. Although it has its own constitution, it's a sovereign country, it has its own government, it has its own rules and laws, but it is surrounded by South Africa from all sides. So this is the best example that we have of the first order enclave. Another example is Vatican City, which is surrounded by Italy from all sides. Here it surrounds Italy. Italy is here, and in between here is Vatican City, which is surrounded by Italy from outside. So these are first order enclaves. There are many other first order enclaves in the world, but the Ala Khagrabadi enclave was the third order enclave, and this was the only one enclave, third order enclave in the entire world. So this also, signifies, this also, symbolize the complexity of India Bangladesh border that we had. Okay. So these enclaves were almost, invisible on world map. You can't be able to trace where these enclaves are actually on the map. And these were so small that these were invisible on the grounds too. Okay. Means they were very small patches of land. After partition, what happened? The indigenous enclaves where people were living, it became no man's land. No man's land because these people were rendered stateless. What is the condition of Rohingya at present? They are stateless people. So this was the condition of these people at that time. 50,000 people were living in these 162 enclaves, which were, in India and Bangladesh. And after, partition, there were emergence of passport and visa controls. So these people's movement, the movement of these people were very strictly, monitored, because both India and Pakistan were afraid of, surveillance and all espionage activities that can be, done by these people. तो कुल मिला के इन लोगों का जो जिंदगी था बिल्कुल बद से बदतर हो गया था, और no, the responsibility that India and Pakistan at that time, East Pakistan, and that should have shared, there was no such sense of responsibility between these two countries. After liberation war of Bangladesh was formed, and until 1971, each refused to let other administer its enclave. That we have already seen how the people were rendered stateless. But after the liberation war, when Bangladesh became an independent nation, in 1974, we were successful in having a agreement which is called Land Boundary Agreement. Okay. So this was, we have from this part of this 100th Constitutional Amendment Act, we have seen how the 50,000 people that were, deprived of the basic necessities of life, finally, so we must discuss what India and Bangladesh, what India and Bangladesh have achieved from this 100th Constitutional Amendment Act. So why this is significant, so much significant in India and Bangladesh board, international relation or bilateral relation. You see, 50,000 people will get citizenship rights. और अभी तक इनको कुछ नहीं था, अब ये सिटीजन बन जाएंगे इंडिया और बांग्लादेश के, तो उनको जो एक ऑर्डिनरी सिटीजन को जो राइट्स होते हैं वो इनको मिल जाएंगे। एक बात तो ये, दूसरी बात, इंडिया और बांग्लादेश के बीच में जो बायलैटरल रिलेशन है, दैट विल बी अप टू, दैट विल हैव अ न्यू ट्रस्ट, एक नया ट्रस्ट आएगा। और जो जब भी बायलैटरल रिलेशंस की शुरुआत होती थी, टॉक्स की शुरुआत होती थी, तो उसमें ये जो लैंड बाउंड्री डिस्प्यूट था वो सबसे पहले आ जाता था, और बाकी सब जो इश्यूज थे इकोनॉमिक रिलेशंस को लेके और बाकी जो रिलेशंस को लेके हैं वो बिल्कुल साइड लाइन हो जाते थे। अब चूंकि ये मुद्दा ही खत्म हो गया, तो अब हम लोग जो मोर सिग्निफिकेंट इश्यूज हैं इंडिया बांग्लादेश के बीच में उस पर हम लोग कंसंट्रेट कर पाएंगे। ओके, so this was all, And one thing I want to tell you that India gave up, today we hear of Hong Kong. Hong Kong is like, this is South China. We have, this is South China. Here is Hong Kong. And there is an island called Hong Kong Island, which is in the south of this Hong Kong territory. और इंडिया ने जो 111 इनक्लेव्स बांग्लादेश को दिए, so this 100 enclaves, 111 enclaves equals to this Hong Kong island, which is equal to 2000 cricket stadiums, So this was the amount of, the land which we have gave to Bangladesh. So अभी जो स्टैंड ऑफ लद्दाख के अंदर चल रहा है हमारा चाइना के साथ, तो ये सिर्फ पीस ऑफ लैंड को लेके नहीं है, बल्कि इट इज टू रेसिस्ट द एग्रेशन ऑफ चाइना। चाइनीज का जो एक एग्रेशन है उसको हम कम करना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि वी कैन नॉट कॉम्प्रोमाइज विथ आवर सॉवरेनिटी एट एनी कॉस्ट। सो दैट इज व्हाई वी आर देयर इन अ स्टैंड ऑफ विथ चाइना। ओके, तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि इंडिया बिल्कुल अपना नेबर्स के साथ एक जो फ्रेंडशिप वाला रिलेशन होता है वो चाहती है, बट इफ यू शो एग्रेशन वी कांट compromise with our sovereignty and internal security of our country. So this was all about 100th Constitutional Amendment Act. Now we will see 101st Constitutional Amendment Act, which was another historic day in the India when this amendment was passed. So this was passed in 2016, and it allows both the center and the states to levy goods and services tax. Okay. अब 2016 से पहले क्या था कि जो टैक्सेशन पावर था वो डिवाइडेड था सेंटर और स्टेट्स के बीच में। फॉर एग्जांपल, स्टेट्स के पास पावर था कि वो जो है गुड्स के ऊपर टैक्स डिसाइड कर सकते हैं और वो टैक्स कलेक्ट कर सकते हैं, ठीक है। और सेंटर के पास पावर था कि जो सर्विसेज हैं उनके ऊपर ये टैक्स डिसाइड कर सकते हैं, कलेक्ट कर सकते हैं, ठीक है। तो और a number of tax was there, a number of you have to pay this tax and this tax and this tax. So there was a cascading of tax, and in different states you have to pay as a businessman or a corporate, you have to pay different percentage of tax on the same item. So this was also a very difficulty in doing business in India. Okay, so 2016 amendment replaces various central and state taxes like excise duty, services tax, sales tax, entry tax, entertainment tax, and many other taxes which were subsumed into a single tax, GST. So the idea of GST is to make India a one nation, one tax country. Okay, this very idea is, this very idea has been envisaged because of easing, to make doing business in India much more simpler and easier. Okay. While most goods and services has been covered under the GST, there are many other goods that is outside its purview, and that may be, in course of time brought under GST if the GST council so decides. So let's have a quick glimpse over what are the goods and services that are outside this purview of GST. So first we have petroleum products, which includes petroleum products, which includes ATF, aviation turbine fuel, and also natural gases which we have. तो पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं जीएसटी के बाहर हैं, और इसीलिए आप देखेंगे कि दिल्ली के अंदर जो पेट्रोल या डीजल का प्राइस है वो आपको यूपी से अलग होगा, फिर वो हरियाणा से अलग होगा। तो अलग अलग स्टेट्स अपने अपने हिसाब से इस पर जो है वैट लगाते हैं, ठीक है। अल्कोहल प्रोडक्ट्स आर आउटसाइड दिस परव्यू। आपने देखा भी होगा कि कोविड-19 के टाइम में दिल्ली में मोर देन 70% कोरोना सेस लगा दिया गया था अल्कोहल के ऊपर, और कुछ इसी तरीका से यूपी में भी किया गया था, सो दैट जो एक रेवेन्यू लॉस हुआ है स्टेट का वो किसी तरीका से कंपनसेट हो सके। इसके अलावा आप देखेंगे रियल एस्टेट इज आउटसाइड इट्स परव्यू। उसके अलावा इलेक्ट्रिसिटी and basic customs duty, anti-dumping duty, you know. Then we have a stamp tax which is outside its purview. So there are many taxes which are still outside this GST, but it can be brought under GST once GST council decides so. GST framework के अंदर क्या है कि सेंटर के पास पावर है कि they can levy and collect central GST. Okay. Similarly, states can levy and collect a state GST. But there is another tax which is called integrated GST. Integrated GST is levied on interstate supply of goods and services. When a good or a service is, supplied from one state to another state, so there is an interstate thing that comes into play. And in that scenario, center has the power to levy and collect integrated GST. Okay. और integrated GST जो भी कलेक्ट होता है उसको फिर बाद में स्टेट्स के बीच में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दिया जाता है, स्टेट्स जो कंसर्न है। ओके, तो जीएसटी, ये तो जीएसटी फ्रेमवर्क का बात हो गया। अच्छा, ये जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्ट हुआ था, इसके अंदर चूंकि ये फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर को कहीं ना कहीं डिस्टर्ब कर रहा था, स्टेट्स का जो पावर था टैक्सेशन का, उसको इन्होंने एक तरह से खत्म कर दिया। जो उनका पावर था, अपने हिसाब से वो टैक्स डिसाइड करते थे कि कब कितना टैक्स बढ़ाना है, कब कितना टैक्स रिड्यूस करना है। तो वो पावर स्टेट्स का चूंकि चला गया, तो this was directly impacting their powers. So it requires the ratification of more than half states in addition to special majority by the parliament. Okay, this is a very significant point. You can't miss it, So next, we will see some more about GST. 2016 Act, as we see, it also requires Parliament to compensate states. Why? For any revenue loss owing to the implementation of GST. As we have already seen कि अलग अलग states के अंदर जो एक ही टैक्स का जो रेट था वो अलग अलग था। ओके, तो अगर आपने यूनिफॉर्म एक जीएसटी ले आया, एक ही टैक्स लगेगा, तो फिर जो इनका ज्यादा टैक्स था उसका तो इनका लॉस हो गया। तो जो 2016 के अंदर जीएसटी एक्ट आया, तो उसमें ये बात कही गई कि जो स्टेट्स का लॉस हुआ है उसको कंपनसेट करने की जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होगी वो पार्लियामेंट की होगी। ठीक है, और अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट जीएसटी कंपनसेशन टू स्टेट्स एक्ट 2017 में लाया गया। ठीक है, इसके अंदर बोला गया कि स्टेट्स विल गारंटीड कंपनसेशन फ्रॉम द सेंटर फॉर द फर्स्ट 5 years of the new indirect tax regime introduced in July 2017. As we know that GST was implemented in India on 1st July 2017. So with this GST compensation to states act, it was guaranteed that states will be compensated from the center for the first 5 years, meaning up to 2021 to 2022 fiscal year. So this was guaranteed through this act. Okay, next we have this constitutional amendment creates a GST council under article 279A. So there are many exams which takes into account this basic things, like whether GST council is a statutory body or non-statutory body, constitutional body or extra constitutional body. So this is a very relevant question here, and we can see here article 279A के अंदर GST council का जो है establishment हुआ है। So GST council is a federal body and is a constitutional body. Okay, और जो यूनियन फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर होंगे वो एक्स ऑफिशियो इसका चेयरमैन होंगे, एंड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स फ्रॉम ऑल साइड्स फ्रॉम ऑल स्टेट्स विल बी देयर टू इम्प्लीमेंट जीएसटी। ओके, काउंसिल का काम क्या होगा? ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी है तो उनको फंक्शन इसका समझना होगा। तो एक तो ये डिसाइड करेंगे कि जीएसटी रेट्स कितना होगा। जैसे कि अभी के टाइम में हमारा जीएसटी रेट्स जो है वो 4 स्लैब्स में बटे हुए हैं। एक 5%, एक 12%, एक 18% और एक 28%। ओके, और ये जितने भी कौन से टैक्सेस हैं जिनको जीएसटी के अंदर सब्ज्यूम किया जाए, हमने देखा कि इतने सारे टैक्स अभी जीएसटी के प्रीव्यू के बाहर है, तो उनको अगर कभी भी जीएसटी के अंदर लाना होगा तो ये जीएसटी काउंसिल ही डिसाइड करेगी। ओके, उसके अलावा मॉडल लॉज टू बी पास्ड बाय पार्लियामेंट एंड स्टेट असेंबलीज सो दैट देयर कैन बी एन इफेक्टिव इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ जीएसटी। जीएसटी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन को लेकर काफी इश्यूज हैं। ओके, तो उसको किस तरीके से सॉर्ट आउट किया जाए और किस तरीके से मॉडल लॉज पास किए जाए पार्लियामेंट और स्टेट असेंबली में, ये जीएसटी काउंसिल डिसाइड करेगा थ्रू डेलिब्रेशन। ओके, उसके अलावा अपॉर्शनमेंट ऑफ IGST, इंटीग्रेटेड जीएसटी, स्पेशल प्रोविजंस फ्रॉम नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न एंड हिमालयन स्टेट्स। एज वी नो कि नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न और हिमालयन स्टेट्स को स्पेशल कैटेगरी स्टेटस का हमने ये स्पेशल कैटेगरी स्टेटस इन्हें मिला हुआ है, तो इनको थोड़ा सा फाइनेंशियली थोड़ा सा इन पर ज्यादा ध्यान रखा जाता है। ओके, so this was all about the constitutional body, that is GST Council. Okay, and one thing which I missed in this is that this 5-year guarantee to the states from the center, you know, compensation from the center to the states for the first 5 years. This is done by the center through a compensation cess. Okay, compensation cess is levied by the center on demerit and sin goods. Okay, demerit and sin goods which are taxed at 28%, the highest tax slab. Okay, तो ये compensation cess जो कलेक्ट होता है डिमेरिट और सिन गुड्स पर लगाने के बाद, तो फिर ये जो कलेक्शन होता है इसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दिया जाता है स्टेट्स को एज ए कंपनसेशन बाय द सेंटर। लेकिन अभी चूंकि कोविड-19 के बाद इकोनॉमी में थोड़ा economy is almost stagnant, so center is finding it very difficult to compensate states। तो आप ये न्यूज़ भी देखते रहते होंगे कि सेंटर हैज showed its reluctance to compensate states, तो इस तरीका का न्यूज़ आते रहता है। उसके अलावा हम देखेंगे कि जीएसटी का क्रिटिसिज्म क्या है। जीएसटी का पहला क्रिटिसिज्म ये है कि ये काफी कॉम्प्लेक्स है, क्योंकि आपने तो बोला कि हम वन नेशन वन टैक्स लाने जा रहे हैं, फिर आपने बहुत सारे टैक्सेस को जो है इससे बाहर कर दिया, तो फिर ये वन नेशन वन टैक्स कहाँ हुआ जब आपके पास एक टैक्स है ही नहीं। बहुत सारा टैक्स तो अभी भी जीएसटी से बाहर है। उसके बाद जीएसटी के टैक्स के अंदर एक यूनिफॉर्म टैक्स नहीं है, वन टैक्स नहीं है। देयर आर मेनी टैक्सेस, 4 टैक्स स्लैब्स आर देयर, 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%. Although 97.5% of goods and services are taxed below 18%, equal to or below 18% tax slab, only 2.5% goods and services are taxed at 28%. But this is a criticism। लेकिन आप देखेंगे स्टेट्स को अल्कोहल और पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट्स के ऊपर वैट से बहुत कलेक्शन होता है, तो वो कभी नहीं चाहेंगे कि ये जीएसटी के अंदर आ जाए और फिर बिल्कुल सेंटर डिसीजन ले और जीएसटी काउंसिल में फिर मामला जाए। तो अलग अलग स्टेट्स आप देखेंगे अलग अलग पेट्रोलियम और अल्कोहल के ऊपर अलग अलग टैक्सेस वो लेवाई करते हैं। तो इट विल टेक टाइम फॉर इंडिया टू बिकम अ ट्रूली वन टैक्स वन नेशन कंट्री, one nation one tax country, and after only that we will have ease of doing business in India। अच्छा, ease of doing business के ऊपर आपको more information चाहिए तो आपको इस चैनल के अंदर ही व्हाट इज ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस है, उसको आप देख सकते हैं। बिल्कुल आपको कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग आएगी कि ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस आखिर क्या है और जीएसटी से उस पर क्या असर पड़ा और क्या असर और हो सकता है। ठीक है, सो दिस वाज द कंप्लीशन ऑफ फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ दिस वीडियो सीरीज which deals with the 5 recent constitutional amendment acts। In the next part we will be seeing 102nd constitutional amendment act, 103rd constitutional amendment act, and the last one 104th constitutional amendment act। So this is a goodbye from me। Thank you.